Good evening, all, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me thus far tonight are Adam
Hello.
and Useless.
Hello, how goes it?
We are supposed to be joined at some point by an Asian, but he's running late. And that is, of course, our own Cryptic. And since it is a Friday, I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are both of you doing tonight?
Alive and kicking.
Always better than the alternative. How about you, Adam?
Uh, you know, um, doing pretty good. It was a pretty good week. Got a nice 3-day weekend coming up, and I celebrated it with a nice Chicago hot dog, and
Nice.
and I got this Goose Island whiskey sour, like a 4-pack beer type thing. So, and they're pretty good. So,
But it was without the onion.
what?
Yeah. Did you put chili on the hot dog?
You got rid of the onion for it.
No, there was onion.
Who are you and what have you done with Adam?
You can't have a Chicago style hot dog without onions, sir. Right? Or not?
That was my impression, but
You don't
I'm
like
also
onions.
talking to Adam, who has a effectively blood vendetta against onions and the French because of their onion song.
I don't know if it was a blood vendetta in the French.
Yeah, see, even Coconut is saying the same thing. Who the fuck is this boy? I thought Adam didn't like onions. You're surprising everyone tonight.
Yeah.
No, you know, there are times of change and time to rearrange, and I don't know
Shit,
how
the
to
world has gone so fucking chaotic that Adam has tried onions.
Yeah.
No, I love onions. They are the greatest thing ever.
He's an alien, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I didn't eat onions. There was no onions. I tried, but come on.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic here. So, how's everybody? Wait, who called me out? I didn't even look at chat.
Cocono.
Cocono? Who
Yeah.
the fuck is he? A beach boy?
Probably.
That was a bad.
God damn it.
They go waka waka,
Oh, shit. Okay. I'm gonna go look into
And
this.
now they're yelling, "You liar, shun the non-believer."
There's there's enough people in the chat. Son of a bitch.
But yeah, it's
But there was onions in the hot dog. Okay, let's just be realistic.
Okay. Well, I'm sure the hot
so.
dog
Well,
made
no,
sure you don't
because
taste it.
because she looked at me weird when I said no onions, and then I said okay, just add the onions, and
So your Chicagan side and what I can only describe with that rundown of events, effectively Catholic guilt kicked in, and
I was like, you know what? Damn it.
And hey, Costin.
because that seems like the only thing that I can imagine, that it was your Chicagan nature and then Catholic guilt of they're looking at me, okay, I atone and put the onions on, please.
I'll just pick them off,
How many Hail Marys do I need to say?
Look, okay, it's multiple levels. Okay, it's on one end. I'm trying to impress this one lady.
Oh.
On the other end, I'm trying to look. We just passed Lent, and we're getting into the Holy of Days, and I'm trying to keep the faith here. So
So
I
rather
don't want to lie and say that I didn't have onions. I tried it, and I stomached it, and
are you doing a very strange Lenten sacrifice rather than giving something up? You've gone, okay, I don't like onion. for my Lenten sacrifice, I'm going to eat some onions.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird reversal.
Yeah. It is still a sacrifice because it's giving up your particular food predilections and potentially, depending on how adverse you are to onions, feeling like you are
Very.
decreasing the value of your food.
I really did not enjoy this meal.
So
I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna be straight out. That was horrible. I drank a shit ton of water.
that
Oh
is
my
a
God.
sacrifice of a sort, but it's a sacrifice via addition rather than subtraction.
Yep.
Well, you know, we are in topsy-turvy time frame right now, so you know.
Just blame Russia, like everybody else is doing.
Yeah, that's all, you know. But you know, it's all for naught because I'm pretty sure she's just, you know, haha. I got you to eat onions. You know?
Next time you
She's
ask for a number,
plotting against you.
Well, who knows? You know. Good Lord. So how you doing?
Tired, but I'm always tired.
Yeah.
I'm doing grand, just finishing up chowing down on my dinner for the night.
Yeah, 3 types of salmon.
Yep, 3 different types of salmon. One done by marinating in koji, sprinkling with some salt, letting it sit for a few moments to let the salt penetrate the meat before throwing it in a nice hot skillet, searing it off on all sides. One done in just some togarashi, which is Japanese 7-spice powder. Seared it off on all sides, and one done with chili crisp and shoyu.
Nice.
Marinated for day and a half, something like that. And then seared off on all sides. Actually, it's 2 days for that marinade. All really damn good. On some rice with some asparagus that I tossed in a bit of shoyu and uzu. And just enjoying that with 2 shoes of sake, a finger or 2 of a Mizunara whiskey, and then an Asahi.
Nice.
Yeah,
How about this
delicious.
frozen bag of poke? It was tuna poke. It was pretty
Poke?
good, but they put too much sesame oil in the marinade and just kind of overpowered
Yep.
the flavor.
Yeah, this is something that I've stressed to a lot of people. Whenever you're adding sesame oil to something,
Yeah. You
you
don't
need
need
a
a lot.
light hand. And this is coming from the person that pours heavy on fucking everything.
Yeah.
You need a light hand. Because a couple drops of sesame oil, oh fucking god, that elevates the flavor.
Yeah.
If you put too much sesame oil, then
That's all you taste.
everything that you are having is just that sesame oil. It coats your entire mouth.
Yep.
You can't taste a fucking thing other than it. So you need a light hand. It's one of the things that is the case. Another one is rosemary.
Yeah.
A little bit of rosemary. Oh yeah, amazing. A lot of rosemary. It tastes like you're eating a pine tree.
Yep. Well, kind of same with bay leaves too. It's like you don't really notice the flavor, but you notice when it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But when it is there,
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And bay leaves, you just throw like 1 bay leaf into a pot of soup.
Yeah.
Or if you're making a fuck ton, then you might throw 2. The primary thing that makes me go through bay leaves is you use bay leaves in bags of flour and in bags of rice to make sure that you don't get weevil infestation.
Okay, I know that.
Yep. Bay leaves drive weevils away.
Well, I know if you eat bay leaves, it's kind of toxic to you too.
Oh yeah, if you eat too many.
Yeah.
Right, if you eat too much of things with bay leaf in it.
Yeah.
Also, don't eat the actual fucking bay leaf.
Yeah. Could make you very sick.
Oh yeah. You just throw it in something and then you remove it after it's done cooking. Don't eat the fucking bay leaf. If you find bay leaf in a dish, just put it to the side of your plate and leave it the fuck alone.
So the salmon you bought, was it frozen or did you buy it fresh?
Oh no, it's fresh sashimi grade.
Okay, nice.
So I was able to make it that beautiful seared salmon rather than even taking it to medium rare.
Yeah.
Just that nice hard sear on the outside with that velvety, soft, rare salmon inside, and it's amazing.
Oh yeah. I'm saying with good fresh tuna, a nice tuna steak.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I don't know who you're trying to sell it to, but
Have you ever had a tuna steak?
yeah, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying some fine herbal remedies, and it ain't helping. Let me just tell you, I'm sitting there like, you know what? I do want some salmon steak. that sounds pretty good right now.
Adam, after a couple moments of us talking about food and him enjoying his libation and his herbals, is suddenly starting to think, you know
His
what?
libation can be surprising, but
Hmm?
oh, what?
And
What was that?
Kokono, we actually talk about food on this podcast like quite a lot. So
Do we know?
yeah. Well, Kokono's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
why are you
my
approaching me?
nights. If I'm on a night, there's at least one point where it's food torn.
Somebody
yeah.
would mention a food item at some point.
Well, we are food nerds, you know, so
Hey,
Especially
everybody
since
likes food.
I've been accused of, when I describe food in detail, somehow I make food lascivious sounding. I haven't been going into a vast amount of detail, so it isn't quite to that point yet. But if I start talking about how I made sure that I've got the salmon completely coated in the koji beforehand, rubbing it into every section of the salmon, and then I made sure to vacuum seal it so that it really just sealed in the flavor. And when I salted it, just all those little dewdrops of moisture rise up and start to dissolve the salt and pull it back into the salmon.
yeah.
And getting the pan up to the right temperature, just a little bit of greasing in the bottom of the pan, throw that salmon in, let those beautiful Maillards happen, get this absolutely just gorgeous coloration on the salmon, flip it, make sure that each side gets the proper amount of attention.
Yeah.
Well,
It
hold
can
on.
get a bit lewd sounding.
So yeah, are you trying to do that? What the fuck?
No, that's just when I start going into detail about food.
Well, that's a pretty particular detail there, sir.
That's what he
It
does.
ends up sounding a bit pornographic, despite being food.
I guess so.
And one would think that if it ends up sounding pornographic, oh, you must be getting turned on by food. Nope, doesn't do a thing for me other than make me hungry.
Yeah. So you should do an ASMR channel where you just talk about food or describe food.
Oh, I've found a couple channels that occasionally do what I can only describe as cooking ASMR,
Yeah.
where it's just like when they fry food, they just have the mic in real close so that you hear the bubbling of the oil around the food. Just that real nice rolling hiss from it.
Well, Coco knows you should check out my cooking channel because I have a few cooking ASMRs on her too. I got one with the sound of deep frying chicken skin.
I'll have to. I was talking about it with Useless before the show. When my schedule quiets back down, I'll get back into doing cooking content. At least visual, well, not visual, video cooking content. I do have my food Twitter that I post stuff on. You get to see my weekly dinners, and I have food Instagram now because I caved, and I feel like an 80-year-old man trying to figure out a new social media as I'm dealing with it. But I post larger descriptions of everything that I do in order to make the meals, as well as a short blurb, very similar to my food Twitter.
You should also integrate some TikTok videos.
I do not feel like hating myself.
Well, just trying. Isn't that what? I'm old
Yeah.
too, man. Come on,
I
dude.
mean, I can work on my TikTok cooking thing too, but it's a pain in the ass.
Right?
Well, because editing shorter videos take longer than long videos.
I don't even bother with editing.
Yeah.
Shit.
Also, it's just TikTok, the only exposure to TikTok that I ever want to have to deal with, and that's bad enough, is the libs of TikTok Twitter.
Yeah.
My
find some
God, that
gems.
is cancerous as all hell.
Well,
It is
Libs.
hilariously cancerous, but it is cancerous.
it's sad when they believe all that stuff, all that crazy nonsense.
Mm-hmm. But
Well, I've been
yeah,
arguing with people on Twitter lately, but that don't say gay bill, even though it has nothing to do with gay people.
doesn't say at any point that you aren't allowed to say gay.
Yeah.
You can read the entire fucking bill, and what it says is, yeah, you aren't allowed to talk about sex and sexuality to people 3rd grade and below.
Yeah.
Holy shit! How do we go from cooking to
Oh,
don't say gay?
just Twitter.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well,
That's what we do here, Adam. We shift topics like it's nothing, you know.
Oh yeah,
Well-
like I've said many times, the entire point of my Friday nights is I want them to be the feel of just a bunch of friends bellied up to a bar talking shit the entire time about whatever the hell comes up.
well, hold on. You know what? Did I already tell you about the Goose Island?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
okay. Well, I was feeling kind of uplifted spirits, even though Hawks lost last night against the Bruins. By 1 point. Fuck. But so I was sitting there feeling in the spirit of Chicago, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. There was this Goose Island what's it called? Whiskey sours? Something like that. And so I picked up a pack of that, and I got a Chicago style hot dog.
Nice.
And yes, I talked about that earlier. Chicago
Yeah.
style hot dog.
You did not mention Goose Island when you gave that description earlier.
Well, he said
Oh.
he had a drink, but he didn't say what kind of drink.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was Goose style.
I don't drink
Well.
anymore because reasons. So
So
Yep, everyone has their own tolerances and how much alcohol they should allow themselves.
yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are not always the same thing.
Mhm.
And then some of them, it's, yeah, teetotal. That puts you in the best state of mind. Some people, it's a drink every so often. And there isn't anyone that should go past even... There isn't anyone that should even hit tipsy every night.
Yeah.
And there's no one that should go past tipsy every night. The occasional night out, sure, that's perfectly fine. You're able to write that off. But when you start needing a drink every time that you wake up, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
that, and you know what comes to mind is when I was reading about the area before or around Prohibition.
Mhm.
Where it was like, yeah, there were people who would sit there and spend their whole week's wages on drinkage, and
Yeah.
then
Mhm.
you'd find them passed out in a ditch in front of the bar. It's like, holy shit, yeah, that dude Yeah, shit.
It's like the
Oh man.
story of the Irish Rasputin. You guys have heard that story before, right?
I have Irish Rasputin.
Yes, the Irish Rasputin, also known as Iron Mike.
Oh no. Whoa,
So
no.
this was someone either right before or right around Prohibition era. He was an Irishman who came to America. No one quite knew where he came from in Ireland. They just knew that he came from Ireland. No one really knows his history. He was just the Irishman in America. That he did a bunch of odd jobs, worked as a day laborer most of the time, did some prize fighting, and shit like that. Just really weird background. But he got used to going to this one bar. And this one bar was owned by, if I remember correctly, someone kind of fairly lowly placed in organized crime. And the barkeep talked with a number of his associates, and they came up with the brilliant idea of there's this one Irish dude who just drinks himself to oblivion every goddamn night. That he has the money. We could probably take out a life insurance policy on this dude and then just tell him that all his drinks are on the house. And just let nature run its course. Sounds reasonable, right? I mean, there's only so much a man can drink before he just fucking dies. And if the dude's already plying himself to oblivion on what he can manage, if you tell him that everything he drinks is completely on the house, oh man, this dude will just drink through the entire shelf and end up with alcohol poisoning and dead by morning.
Yeah.
Perfect sense. No one has any problem with this logic, right? The problem was, yeah, he did start drinking just absolute barrels full of alcohol every night. And he would drink himself to oblivion, drink well more than he was drinking on his normal paycheck, because now it's free.
Yeah.
And every day he would wake up and come back to the bar and start drinking again. So they go, oh shit, he's not dying. Well, let's increase how much he's able to drink by allowing him to just crash in the back room of the bar. That way he doesn't even have to sober up as he walks in from his home to the bar, and then sober up as he's walking home from the bar to his home.
Yeah.
So let's just throw a bedroom in back. So they did that. And Iron Mike continued to drink his way through the bar. And the bar is now just absolutely fucking hemorrhaging money. Because they have this one Irish bastard just drinking everything. So the barkeep is starting to panic at this point because what the fuck? He keeps drinking everything. I know. If we give him antifreeze is poisonous, so that will kill him. So they would get
murder
him,
then.
They would get him drunk, and then they'd give him some antifreeze. Just saying that, oh yeah, we'd be able to say that he drank up to a certain point in the bar, and then he went outside, and no one knows what came of it. He must have drank antifreeze when he was outside of the bar. It wasn't us. So he drinks some alcohol. He gets drunk enough that he won't be able to tell the difference. They swap it for antifreeze, and he's just pounding antifreeze. And he stumbles out stumbles into the back of the bar to pass out. At one point, he gets up, stumbles out into the night to take a piss. And the bar keeps going, okay, he's probably going to die while he's out of the bar. This is fantastic. And Barkeep doesn't notice him come back in at any point. So, job's done. He must have died. Next day, the bar opens up. Iron Mike comes out of the back room and starts drinking again. And is ranting and raving about how amazing the drink that he had at the end of the night was. So, fuck everything that he had to drink before that. He just wants that drink. Because for those who don't know, antifreeze, if you have it, do not drink antifreeze. But antifreeze has a somewhat sweet flavor.
Yeah.
So he just starts pounding antifreeze. And they're going, okay. Yesterday, it was just some fluke that he didn't die. He's pounding antifreeze the entire fucking night. He's surely dead today. And the next day, the bar opens up after he's drunk himself to oblivion on antifreeze. He shows back up at the bar. The fuck is going on with this man? So, the barkeep, even though he's now plying the man with antifreeze, and he's still just showing up for more, saying that it tastes amazing, decides he's still hemorrhaging money at this point. He decides, okay, we need to do something more extreme. So what we'll do is we'll pay a cabbie to run this man over. Actually, sorry, I skipped part of the story. So first, it wasn't the cabbie. First, it was after he drinks himself to oblivion, we'll drag him out of the bar and bury him in a snowbank because it's the middle of upstate New York winter.
Yeah.
So, fucking cold, lot of snow. You bury someone in a snowbank that's passed out, they're dead by morning, 100% of the time, right?
Yep.
Wrong. Iron Mike comes back into the bar the next day, talking about how it's the weirdest thing. He woke up in a snowbank, half naked, and a man told him where he was. He was able to get back home, get some clothes back on, and now he's here for the bar. He must have had too much to drink last night, but now he's back. He'll tie some more on. Shit. Okay, we'll pay a cabbie to run him over. So they get him pissed drunk again because everything's still on the house. He's drinking antifreeze. He's drinking vast quantities of other alcohols. He is completely fucking sauced. So the barkeep has paid a taxi driver to run him over and has paid a couple men to take him out into the middle of the street. So they take him out into the middle of the street. The taxi driver picks up some speed and goes to hit him. The two men dive out of the way. Iron Mike just ends up tumbling over out of the way of the oncoming cab. Does not get hit. Fuck it, we've come this far. Let's set him up for another run. So they get the cabbie to make a second pass to try to hit the guy, and they pick up Iron Mike again. They hold him in front of the cab, make sure that he's placed just in the middle, and again, the two men holding him dive out of the way at the last moment that they feel safe. Iron Mike gets hit by the cab. His arm's fucked up, his body's fucked up. I think the cab backed over his legs or some shit and drove off. They leave Iron Mike for dead in the middle of the street. Next day rolls around, no sign of Iron Mike. A week goes by, no sign of Iron Mike. They're starting to just figure out how they're going to be spending all this money that they're going to get, because they took out enormous life insurance policies on Iron Mike. 2 weeks. Iron Mike rolls back in. His leg's fucked up. One of his arms is completely fucked and in a sling. And he's talking about how he must have just had way too much to drink. He got hit by a cab. It was a hit and run. absolute bullshit. He's just out of the hospital. Can he get a drink? They continued trying to kill this man for several more weeks. He continues just not fucking dying. Until, in an act of absolute desperation, the building next door to the bar that this was all happening at had a fair share of it was empty because it was fresh construction. They were about to start renting shit out. The gas lines and everything like that were good to go in the building. They were all hooked up. So after getting Iron Mike absolutely drunk off his ass, blacked out, they drag Iron Mike over to this empty apartment building. They are able to get inside because the barkeep had bribed the landlord for the structure to give him a key for the building.
Yeah.
He gets into one of the units. He turns on the gas line for the unit. He takes a hose and he runs the hose from one of the gas pipes straight down Iron Mike's throat. And they hold Iron Mike's nose shut and his mouth shut around this line for about 30 minutes.
Oy.
Just making absolutely fucking sure that Iron Mike was dead this time. He's already drank his way through like half of the life insurance payouts that they were expecting by this point. So Iron Mike dies. They then bribe the doctor that was in charge of evaluating the deaths or the cause of death and death certificate for Iron Mike. They bribe him to say it was natural causes due to alcohol intoxication, effectively.
Yeah.
So everything's good. It comes out that this is all good to go, and they're about to get their payout. Stories put out about Iron Mike's death and about how there's this life insurance policy. And then I think it was the cabbie that they had paid to run him over found out about how much money they had made from killing him. He came forward asking for immunity, gave enough information to show that the landlord was trying to kill Iron Mike. So they re-examined Iron Mike's body with another examiner without announcing this to anyone. They found out that the cause of death had been falsified. They leaned on the doc who had done the first one until he turned stool. The barkeep and a number of his associates were arrested and sent to prison. I think the doc ended up losing his medical license, but otherwise got out scot-free. The cabbie got paid for the hit and run job that he had done. Didn't get any additional charges other than like maybe the hit and run itself.
Yeah.
Otherwise scot-free. That's the story of the Irish Rasputin. That is the story of Iron Mike. The hardest to kill fucking Irishman to have ever existed.
Nice.
But did they pickle his cock?
They did not. That is purely a Rasputin.
Oh, shit.
It is purely Rasputin that supposedly people have pickled his cock and continue to use it in this very fucking weird cult.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
we don't have time for that. That's a whole... You know what? That would be... Actually, you know what? Minions, if you want to host a series of oddities in history,
These motherfuckers are hard to kill stories.
I'd be down to read the script. So yeah, that'd be fun. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people throughout history that were just hard sons of bitches to kill.
Yeah,
Or had
fucks. Like Vigo. Oh no.
and had absolutely amazing last words. Like, you guys have all heard about the father of Ivar the Boneless, Uba Rothbruxen, and Halfdan Lothbruxen, right?
No, I haven't.
No, I can't say I have.
So the reason, or one of the reasons behind the Norse invasion of England was a extremely well-known Viking raider at the time, which is slightly redundant because Viking is actually a verb. And Viking means to go raiding, so I effectively just said a raiding raider. But everyone knows what Viking is used as currently. So a Viking raider, I believe his name was Lothbrok, which is why his sons are Lothbrokson. But it might have been something Lothbrok. The story of it is, though, that he went raiding in Northumbria. His raiding was extremely successful for a period of time, and then the Northumbrian king at that point, because at this point in time, England was not England. England was the 7 kingdoms of England, which included Northumbria, Mercia, Wessex, Sussex, and Essex, as well as a couple of others thrown in.
Yeah.
Cumbria. Like I said, 7 of these fuckers were running around. And the king of, I believe it was Northumbria, ended up finding out where this man was going to be raiding, and he marshaled an army at that location and was able to take him prisoner after the battle. And to show off what would happen if you dare raid in Northumbria, he decided that he would have this man torn apart by dogs.
Oy.
So he had a large pit dug. He threw his prisoner down into the pit and then let loose several wild, starving dogs in the pit. The badass part of this is what the raider ended up saying. Let me pull up the exact poem that he came up with. Let's see. Lothbrok. Poem. And I just confirmed it is Ragnar Lothbrok was the raider's name. He is the father of Ivar the Boneless, Halfdan, and let's see, is this the right one? Death Speech. That's the one that I want, not his previous. The Vikings, the Norse, had a tradition of poet leaders, of skald leaders. Skald being effectively their version of poets / bards.
Yeah.
And let's see, where is that fucking poem that I'm looking for, you goddamn bastards? Torn apart by dogs. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of different things that have tried to have this character in them, namely the Vikings as well as the Saxon Chronicles, the Saxon Saga. It's a book series by Bernard Cornwall. They only bump up Ragnar Lothbrok to be a contemporary of Uba, Halfdan, Ivar, rather than their father.
Hey, and I'd like to make a statement, if s'il vous plaît.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes. I do not want to go to Kokomo. I mean, I hear it's nice, but yeah, I don't want to go. Ooh. Cripples United. You know what? I shake my fist. I shake it heartily. Get
And unfortunately, I'm still just finding the versions from the show, but the versions from the show are an abridged version of the full one, which was effectively how the little piggies will grunt when they hear how the old boar suffered. Was
Nice.
what Ragnar Lothbrok said as he was torn apart by dogs, which is a very, very fucking, yeah, fuck you, while being killed horrendously. And the Vikings just have a long tradition of amazing fuck yous as they die. Like, there's another story about a group of Vikings that were captured after a battle by, I think it was another group of Norsemen. And they were all to be executed. One of the Norsemen that was about to be executed had this ridiculously long and flowing mane that he had kept up through meticulous dedication to his hair. So he asked, so that his hair would not be damaged in his execution, if a man would be able to hold his hair away from his head, away from his neck, as the killing blow came. And he was granted this. As the killing blow was coming down, he immediately jerked back his body, jerking the hands of the man who was holding his hair in line with the blow, having the man lose both hands, and started laughing. This actually saved him and the rest of his group, because the other Vikings, the other Norsemen, also found this fucking hilarious, because goddamn Norsemen, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I've talked about interesting death stories and death poems and shit like
Hey,
that for long
well,
enough.
don't knock the FSK the advantage of locks, right?
The efficacy.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was trying to say, but I didn't say it. But you said it, and
Yep.
yeah. Just like Samson or fucking shit,
The foretold Nazarite.
the Nazarite.
You've heard that term before, haven't you, Adam?
I've heard it, but it's very vague in my mind right at the moment.
So, Nazarite is a ancient Hebrew tradition of someone that is showing their devotion to their God by having very strict, effectively no grooming policy. They're allowed to bathe themselves in very particular manners. They aren't allowed to cut their hair nor their beards.
No.
And it was shown as it was done as a devotion to God.
Yep.
So it's one of the reasons why there's that very strange, well, Jesus had to be a Nazarene prophecy that people refer to, because when you look at the actual prophecy where it was in the Bible and who it was referring to, it did not use the word Nazarene. It used the word Nazarite, and it was used right before the birth of Samson. So it was actually foretelling the birth of Samson in the narrative, as Samson was the Nazarite.
Huh.
Yeah, it's one of those strange things where you can tell later authors of the Bible did not have the same vernacular as early writers of the Bible. So there's certain
well, come on.
prophecies that
You know, a lot of these scholars were too busy drawing in these lewd images.
oh, it is amazing. I have shown the penis tree before, right?
Yeah.
Penis tree and the penis dragon.
I don't recall. So
Okay,
I mean, there's always room for a refresher.
let me find the picture of penis Falcor.
Oh, jeez.
wait.
Hey, if there's any youngins in the viewery, cover thine eyes.
Yeah, look away now. You know.
No, this is
holy penises.
completely. This is completely signed off on by the church as it was their very own illumination. This was at a time when it was the church that was in charge of illuminations, and the monks had a hell of a time drawing in as many penises as they possibly could, which brought you the image of what I can only describe as penis Falcor.
Penis falcon.
This
Wow.
is clearly a woman with orangutan titties riding upon a being that kind of looks like Falcor, but is in fact a dick and balls. And
Wow.
quite clearly a dick and balls. This is penis Falcor. This is a old school illumination.
Oh no.
Nice.
Oh man.
That's one
Yeah,
thing you
it
can't look away
looks-
from.
It looks doofy as all hell, but it is clearly penis Falcor. And there's no way that you can convince me it isn't penis Falcor. There's also, of course, the dick tree. Let me find the dick tree.
That's just the
Which
way
is-
it is.
Another case of old school illuminations. There we go. There's the penis tree. Let's pop this open in a new tab so I can share this page. And
Just keep in mind, a lot of this stuff was concrafted by scholars, pre-scholars that were tasked with rewriting, the books.
it was
Over and over again.
cloistered monks that their entire
and-
job
and then-
was to illuminate the books, which means to make these
And then they would
very
add some
ornate
stuff.
pictures.
They'd add some special images.
Yep.
Spruce it up.
And like I said, this is the penis tree, and of course, there's someone picking a fine harvest of dicks from the penis tree.
My question is, why are the heads red? Does that mean they're like
They're circumcised. Yeah.
They're extremely engorged, and no, these are not circumcised. You can see that they drew that in very fine detail, because you can even see where the fucking foreskin bulges out around the base of the head in the illumination. They devoted quite some time to properly illustrate the penis tree.
You can just imagine the monk. So they're like, yes. Show me that peony eye.
And
Yes.
Kokono in chat says this brings a whole new meaning to wood.
Yeah,
No.
it's a veritable woods grown from the wood.
Yeah.
It is something that is absolutely hilarious, and it's just these cloistered monks that decided to be a bunch of dirty bastards and make amusing illuminations, because they knew that the only other people that would normally see these, this was at a time when the vast majority of the literate people were monks and some royals.
Back before everybody could read.
This was back before, so this was during the height of the Dark Ages that this shit was happening.
Oh, okay.
So you'd have the monks were literate, the priest, or the clergy in general, were literate, you would have a decent proportion, but not the entirety of the nobility were literate, and you would have the occasional merchant that was literate, but this was before the merchant class really grew to the size that it was later on. Merchants would normally pay more attention to tallies than proper literacy.
Hold on, dude. So you could just imagine that there are a bunch of clergymen
Drawing
sitting out
penises
there.
for other clergymen.
No,
yes.
no. Sitting out there on Sunday scripture as they're, talking to their covenant
Congregation.
or congregation, yeah. And as they're looking at their book, the people looking at the priest, they're just seeing the dude at the altar.
Yeah,
the priest
reading from
is-
this massive, impressive tome.
And the priest is looking at some pornographic images of some goofy fucking monks fucking each other. As he's reading the scripture, and that's the
Having to
funniest-
keep a straight face.
Yeah, well, he's probably just thinking, as soon as this is over, I'm gonna go. What a. It's been defiled. It's been defiled so long, and
Yep.
we'll get there though.
But yeah, that's why I love old school illuminations, because old school illuminations they come in three main categories, in my opinion. The legitimately beautiful artistic representations of things. The what the fuck did this monk drink or take before drawing this shit? Holy fuck, this is weird. And oh, it was just some horny bastard today.
Yeah.
Those are the three main categories of illuminations to my mind, because you do get some illuminations that are absolutely fucking gorgeous. One of the ones that was really brought to prominent knowledge were the illuminations in the Book of Kells. Have either of you heard of the Book of Kells before?
No.
Yes.
I figured you might have, Adam.
Well.
Given your artsy ways, it seems reasonable that you would know of the Book of Kells. So, the Book of Kells, there was, in fact, a very well done cartoon about the Book of Kells. It wasn't historically accurate by any stretch of the imagination, but it got the art style perfectly for it. And that's where a lot of people end up finding out about the Book of Kells. The Book of Kells is a legitimate thing. It is something that was made in effectively a monastic section of Ireland during the Viking invasion of all of the British Isles, including Ireland. And it has these gorgeous, just absolutely amazing illustrations of these complex knots and beautiful scenery where they will weave this complex Celtic knot into the actual image that they're depicting on that page. Just absolutely fucking amazing. Let me see if I can find a good image for the Book of Kells so that I can... Why would I be looking up the Book of Boba Fett? No one gives a shit about that.
Never seen it. Don't plan to either.
So, here, let's see. This is a decent bit of the Book of Kel. Actually, no, this one's better. It shows more of this image. Let's make sure that I'm... Nope, I opened the wrong one in that size. Let's try this again, opening the blown up image. And then zoom in a little bit. There we go. And now share. So this is one of the illuminations from the Book of Kells.
Oh.
This is just the top of them making a large letter P.
Nice.
This is the amount of artwork that went into just that small section. It is this absolutely and the Trinity symbols. It's effectively a fractal of Trinity knots, which are a type of Celtic knot, where every Trinity knot is made up of smaller Trinity knots, which are made up of smaller Trinity knots. This was all done by fucking hand, and this thing is zoomed in massively already. And you can zoom in more and see the ridiculous level of detail. This was done just with a fucking quill nib.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you can see the knot work in that central portion of the P where the actual circular bit joins the straight line of the P. They just have this amazing golden knot work that becomes so dense in certain spots. It just looks like gold in this image. But if you see the actual version of it, it is... You can tell if you look closely that that isn't just a blob of gold. It is all these extremely close gold lines that are just damn near overlaid to the point where it is difficult to distinguish them, but you still can. It is an amazing, absolutely beautiful work of art. Then it's not only the Trinity knots, but they have depictions of angels and saints in just this capital P. This is the capital P to start a page, and it has this level of detail and just artistry behind it.
Yeah.
Like I said,
no, why would you think they would indulge themselves in such lettering?
Well, a good part of Illuminations were to add beauty to the already beautiful written word. So they would do this as an additional aspect to make the work that much more beautiful, to make the work that much more a labor of an entire fucking lifetime.
Or maybe to express magnitude of what the scripture is actually going to convey. And this is just a prelude. You're looking at just one letter, and the rest of the text is going to reflect what they are showcasing in just the R.
There were many times where it would... The massive illumination for the first capital on a page would contain all these images that were of the story that it was telling. There were other times where it was just this insane, opulent display of artistry and mastery. And that was what made... There, at this time, a single illuminated text could be worth more than a fucking castle.
Wow.
Well, you didn't have a lot of people who would be able to do that, so yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of people that would be able to do it. And like I said, these would be damn near works of a fucking lifetime. So it's one of the reasons why I get really pissed off about the progeny of Henry VIII, because the first three off the line were absolute sons of bitches when it came to their treatment of... You guys know the Oxford Library, of course, right?
I know of it, yeah.
So the Oxford Library is one of, if not the oldest libraries, public libraries, that is still existing to this day. And it keeps a record of all of the people that have donated works to the Oxford Library. The most restrictive section of this library is now known as the Bodleian, and it's named as the Bodleian because of the man who completely saved the Oxford Library, this institution that has been running for hundreds and hundreds of years. One of the first donors of the Oxford Library, who donated an absolute fucking... It goes beyond just a standard kingdom's worth of tomes, was one of the royals. He was not the mainline royal. He was like the third son of one of the early English kings. And he donated 300 manuscripts. 300 illuminated manuscripts at a time when these were all produced at a time when manuscripts again were worth about the price or more than a fucking castle. He donated 300 of the fuckers.
Nice.
And the three first progeny of Henry VIII came in. The first one went. This was after the Protestant conversion of England. The Anglican Church was established. The first one came in, very strong Anglican, and went, "This is a lovely library that you have. It's a shame that all these books were written by Catholics. Destroy them."
Oh.
Then his sister came in after that and went, "This is a very lovely library that you have here." She was a very devout Catholic. "It's a shame that these were all written by Protestants. Destroy them and burn your Catholic staff." Or burn your Protestant staff, sorry. Burn your Protestant staff. And then the third one came in. "This is a very lovely library that you have here. It's a shame that this was all written by Catholics. Destroy them and burn 4 of your Catholic staff."
It reminds me of a video that came out recently about a high school throwing away books because they're written by white people.
Yep.
Same thing.
It is very much that same thing. And the reason why it's now known as the Bodleian was Bodley was the chief ambassador / spy master / assassin of that third monarch in order. And he had come to the library at one point when the library was rather fantastic. And then his next visit to the library, it was completely destroyed.
Yeah.
The roofs had caved in at several points. The stacks were moldering. The seats and tables at which someone could study had been broken. But he remembered that this library was once the gem of information within the Western world. It was the library that, to his mind, rivaled the Great Library of Alexandria. It was just missing the tomes from that library, but otherwise it had the greatest repository of human information, and he saw it broken. And that fucked with him throughout most of his life. So he served as the chief ambassador, the spy master, and one of the primary assassins of the crown for an extended period of time. He gathered this massive web of influence from all of that. He knew everyone of any sort of import, and he knew shit on every one of them that could ruin their lives. So at a certain point, he went to the Oxford Library and said, "You will repair this library." And they went, "But we don't have the money." And he said, "You will have the money to repair this library, and you will repair this library. Am I understood?" "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Very much, sir." And he then spent his damn near his entire wealth that he had acquired through his service to the crown, through all these interesting backroom dealings, on repairing the library, restocking the library shelves, fixing the shelves, fixing the roof, making it so that you would walk in and immediately be in awe of the grandeur of this amazing library. And not only did he damn near spend his entire fortune, he damn near spent the entire fortune of several other people. Because, like I said, he had dirt on fucking everyone, and he knew everyone, and everyone knew that he was the chief ambassador, and more importantly, the spy master, and more importantly than that, the master of the assassins. So, when Bodley came to you and went, "Hey, I would like you to make a donation to this library," your answer was always, "Yes, how much do you want? Do you want another zero on that?" So
Nice.
his name was, the library, that section of the library was renamed the Bodleian Library with respect to Bodley and his contributions. Because it was something that, had Bodley not stepped in when he did, the Oxford Library probably would have died off after those 3 back-to-back absolute goddamn catastrophes when it comes to Western information. And since then, the Bodleian, much like the Library of Congress, gets a copy of damn near everything that's ever printed.
Awesome.
Yep. So the Oxford Library has a bunch of different sections, and you can request access to each section. You have to apply for access, but it is technically open to anyone as long as they meet the criteria for the access.
Yeah.
And the older the texts that you're trying to get, the less likely you are to get access to those texts unless you have a damn good reason.
Yeah, kids want to ruin it, right?
Oh, yeah. And there's a whole bunch of policies. So if, like I said, the Bodleian is the most prestigious and oldest text within the entire Oxford Library system. And you are not allowed to grab the book from the shelf yourself.
Oh.
In fact, most of the books in the Bodleian are chained to the bookshelf.
Nice.
So what you have to do is you go to one of the study areas within the Bodleian library, which there's a whole bunch of these little alcoves and tables and things like that. And you let the librarians of the library know where you're located. And you let them know what you have access to receiving, and you let them know what you want access to. They will bring those texts to you. You are forbidden from having any sort of light, any sort of flame or fire source, of course, in the library.
Yeah.
You aren't allowed a number of writing utensils in the library because they're too afraid that you'll end up damaging the books. But you are allowed to take notes on the books. You aren't allowed to take pictures of any of the books because they're afraid that the camera, the flash, will degrade some of these books, which is a good thing since, like I said, these are the oldest books. A lot of really old books are photosensitive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's due to the chemical compounds that are used in older books. So they have very specific lighting conditions for these books. They have very specific humidity, temperature, and all of that tolerances for the books in this section of the library. And you're allowed to get the books, you're allowed to take notes from the books, and then the books always stay in the library. They're either always on the shelf, they're in the hands of one of the librarians or one of the librarian's assistants, or they're in one of these study locations. in the care of whoever had access to that particular text. It is taken very seriously. And I feel like I've just been going off on tangent after tangent after tangent. Do any of you guys have something that you really wanted to talk about and my blathering has prevented you from doing so?
Can't think of anything.
Adam, do you happen to have any topics that you wanted to touch on? I know that last week you had a topic that you didn't get to.
Wait, did I?
Yes, you had the topic of the get good culture within video games and how there's a bunch of people that are trying to go against the get good culture, and you had opinions on both of those.
Well, I did, but I brought it up on Monday.
Oh, you brought it up on Monday. Okay.
Yeah,
very
with
nice.
with our good pal Quiz. I mean, I'm
Yep.
more than welcome to discuss it with you two because you're two.
Different people.
Yeah. So if you want to, I'd be down to.
If that is something that you'd be interested in going into, absolutely. If it's something that you feel like you had your fill of it on Monday, that's fine.
No,
as well.
I'd like.
I just
I'd
knew that you had
I'd
that
like your.
topic that you wanted to touch on.
I'd
at
like
one
your
point.
opinions. I mean that's always welcome. But let me just take a quick hit of this bowl here.
Copy that.
Because it's Friday, so I gotta relax a little.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see that post about that Palestinian woman saying natives don't call themselves Indians? Even
Yes, we talked about that yesterday and had quite the giggle over it.
yeah,
Given that last night, of course, was Johnny Hellcat's night, and Hate Camel was on. And then we talked about how there were a bunch of various natives, or as they all self-ascribe, Indians that came to in that particular conversation, and how this person was rather denigrating to them, calling Delahazed a incel because he was an Indian that refers to himself as Indian rather than Native American or anything along those lines.
He's an incel for that? That's
Yes, apparently if you're an Indian that disagrees with this woman, that Indians don't call themselves Indians, then you're clearly an incel.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Not sure how that means that you are involuntarily celibate, but apparently if you disagree with this woman and you happen to be an Indian, you must be involuntarily celibate.
Well, on that note, how many Black Americans did you know that call themselves African American?
Yep.
I never. They always call themselves Black,
Yep. It tends to be there's a difference between people that are just group X or group Y, so Black, Native / Indian, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves.
Yeah.
The difference between those people that just happen to be of that group and the people that are politically of that group, because there's a difference between being Black and being politically Black.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to conflate that, like the famous line from Joe Biden: if you don't know who you're going to vote for, then you ain't Black.
Well,
if you're going to vote for a Democrat, you ain't Black,
No.
Yep.
Which is just stupid.
So they weren't.
So you ready to get him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, getting good. And actually, I think going over it the last time I went over it, I think I solidified it, and yeah. So you might have noticed the two of you that I'm chatting with right now. In the chat, there's a person named Kokonoe.
Yep.
And he's a person that I part of a fighting group with. And
damn it, Adam, don't you know the first rule?
I know, but Hey, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know if he's down, but I like fighting games, so if we can expand that, that'd be awesome. But but going back to the thing, um, no, recently there's been a game called Elden Ring. I don't know if you
Elden Ring, yep.
Elden Ring. Yeah, well, hey, Picasso, potato. It's the same thing, right? But
Except if you eat Picasso, then that's a crime. If you eat potato, then that's perfectly fine.
and if a potato has an ear, oh shit.
I've said many times before, the only way that I would ever become a vegan is if we consider vegetables. Vegetables.
All right. I gotta try and get through this.
Continue.
So it goes. There's this game. It's difficult. People are struggling and complaining. And my take was, you know what? If you really were interested in the game, you'd want to go and get better at that game.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. Right? The so
In fact, that's
and
kind of the point, because it is something that when you do actually get good at it, you're supposed to feel a sense of accomplishment, because this was something that was kicking your ass time and time again, and then you just fucking stomped that asshole into the ground. Hell yes, you kicked ass.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you should feel that sense of accomplishment. But at the same end, I will say I understand the opposition because only only because I understand if it's coming from somebody who's being a snot and a jerk off about it, and saying, just get good. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here and I know every trick in the book to get through the game and I can play through it. It's like it's one of those things. I understand that, but you, you shouldn't take it like that. You should look at it as if you're interested in the game and somebody says, "Well, get better at it or get good," you, the core idea is you should want to get better at it because it's enjoyable for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where it's at. Um, but yeah, no, with my pal Kokonoi, uh, it's Blaze Blue and
Mm-hmm.
son of a bitch. I enjoyed the shit
Pour
out
me a
of it.
drink.
It's a drink.
It's a song reference.
Oh
Son of a
shit!
bitch, pour me a drink.
No, um, no. No, I play with him with Blaze Blue, and it's been fun. Uh, Getting better at the game, and
Mm-hmm.
just even before I jumped on the show tonight, um, even though I was getting my ass beat, I was still learning stuff.
Yep.
So that's always important. I mean, but that's personal. Like I personally enjoy the challenge, and that's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that I don't understand why we are still having this discussion because it's like it makes sense.
Yeah, and
Somebody likes Flappy Bird, somebody doesn't. Somebody fucking yeah.
yeah, the thing that always pisses me off about the people that normally end up eliciting the get good response, they tend to be of the camp of, well, media is for everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes and no. There's a form of media for each person. Therefore, media as a whole is for everyone. Absolutely, I agree with that, because there will be people that, for instance, really love romance novels. So, romance novels, a type of media, are for people that really like romance novels. There will be people that really like first-person shooters. So, first-person shooters are for people that really like first-person shooters.
Hold on, let me pause you right there, because even at that, it's first person shooters, but it's first person shooters that is like Fortnite or like Quake 3 Arena. You know, like
Yep,
there's
it can break down into subgroups. Absolutely.
100%. That's where it gets weird.
There is absolutely a form of media for every person, but not every form of media should be for every person, because you can't do that. If you have people that really hate first-person shooters and really love romance novels, if you attempt to make a form of media that, if you attempt to make first-person shooters that appeal to people that really hate first-person shooters and really love romance novels, that media won't appeal to people that really like first-person shooters, because you've now had to deviate so far from the style of media and from the things that make the people like that style of media. It is no longer that style of media.
Hold on, dude. Could you imagine one of those like romance point and click type, you're looking at your girlfriend type thing mixed with a first person?
Oh, there are.
You have to, they have those?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's a Japanese game that is effectively a first-person visual novel.
No.
It's an FPS visual novel where it is visual novel cutscenes between an FPS, a very strange FPS, but it is an FPS all the same gameplay. Those do exist, but those are for people that kind of like FPSs and kind of like romance novel. You can combine the two and you can make something really amazing. But there are people that hate certain genres. Like, I do not like sports games. I couldn't care less about Madden. There is no way that you could make a Madden game that appeals to the people that like Madden games while also appealing to me.
Yeah.
Because I do not like them. The people that like them because they are Madden games. So in order to make a game that appeals to me and them, it would have to not be a Madden game while being a Madden game. That is an internally contradictory sentence there.
Well, they're trying to make something for everybody, which is kind of impossible to do.
Yeah, you can't make something that is for everyone. You can make, like I said, media as a whole has a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
You can make it so that there is a form of media for every person. That already happens. That's beautiful. It is amazing that that is a thing. Because if you like a certain form of media, go and support that certain form of media. Like I said, if you really hate first-person shooters and love romance novels, good news for you. You can buy romance novels.
Well,
and you can avoid buying first-person shooters.
Well, Mass Effect's kind of like that. It's a first-person shooter with RP elements and romance in it, you know?
Yeah, and if you like the... Oh, here we go.
Hey,
hello,
Cryptic.
Decided to hop in.
Holy shit.
I apologize.
No worries at all.
I blame Useless because he didn't wake me up for my nap.
I knew you fell asleep though too.
No. My apologies. Anyway, I didn't mean to disrupt you guys. I'll listen.
No worries. We're currently talking about Get Good Culture and the media's for everyone crowd, because you can't really talk about one without talking about the other.
Yeah,
that is a fact. Yeah.
And to me, there's something that Kokonoe said earlier on that is really important, and that is
you said that word really. I struggle with the word.
Oh, I just said it very fluidly. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
thank
no,
you.
yeah, I struggle with that. It's
But
kind of
yes.
sticky because, no, Mike. Oh, go ahead.
Kokonoe said something that is very important in my mind. The get good boy doesn't help. You have to give advice on getting good. And I absolutely agree with that. There is one exception where I don't think that that's needed. And the one exception that I don't think that's needed is when someone is being dishonest as to why they don't like something. So if someone is legitimately saying this game is too hard for me and I'm having trouble with it, so I can't really enjoy it, then absolutely you should be going, rather than just saying, well, get good, scrub, fuck you. Your response should be, well, okay, here's some tips on how to improve.
Yeah.
But
Well, I usually say get good as a joke, you know.
Yeah, get good is a joke, and you're about to say something cryptic.
Yeah, you guys remember this fucking same conversation when the goddamn Cuphead came out, right? Back
Yep.
then?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
exact same conversation. And then remember the video of that guy from, I would say, Kotaku? He was
Yep. Couldn't even
Hold
get
on,
past
hold
the
on, hold
tutorial.
on, hold on, hold on. We
Yeah.
have to dismiss any journalist because
Yes.
these
You don't
They
get
aren't
people,
people.
yeah, no, they have a strict alternate fucking motivation for what they're fucking doing. They're obviously looking at it. They need to get the money flowing. So
And
fuck these
that's
people's opinions.
that's what I was about to say, and that just reminded me of a fantastic line that I'm going to share in case no one's heard this line before. It's from the Mel Brooks producers, which
Ooh,
is you
springtime
can't just
for Hitler?
kill them. Actors aren't animals. Have you ever eaten with one?
Yeah.
Fantastic thing. I recommend if you haven't seen the beautiful work that is the producers, find a copy of the producers. And what I recommend doing is find a copy of the newer version of producers if you haven't seen producers yet. Watch the newer producers and then find the original producers and watch that. Because if you watch the new one, then the old one, you enjoy both of them. Because the new one is good, but it isn't as good as the old one.
It
So-
flushes it out.
Yeah, you get to enjoy the new one because it's still really damn good. And then you get to watch the old one and you get to go, oh, good God, this is amazing.
Honestly, I think that's in terms of because of the performance.
It is
Of the
performance
actors,
and
yeah.
also certain aspects that are cut from the new one. Like my favorite bit from the old one is completely cut from the new one. So in the old one, the person that is cast as Hitler in the movie for Springtime for Hitler, the play within the movie, is this hippie fuck that comes in and produces or performs the most amazing bad song in the history of amazingly bad songs. Because they're auditioning for the part of Hitler, and this man comes in and he's auditioning for Hitler. And his song is I Gave My Flower. And I can remember one specific verse of I Gave My Flower, so I'll recreate that for you. It is I gave my flower to the garbage man, and he threw my flower in the garbage can. That's how the dude sings the song as he's playing this absolute fucking cacophony of noise as his backing music for this song. It is fantastic. They completely stripped that part out of the new one, which I miss that ridiculously. I need the I Gave My Flower man. I need that piece of shit stoned out of his fucking mind hippie that doesn't know what the hell he's saying or what the hell he's doing. He doesn't even realize that he's auditioning for the part of Hitler or who Hitler is. He's just there because I'm trying to get my music out to the people.
Yeah, it was a different time, you know.
It was amazing. Like I said, That part. Best part of the old one, beyond just the performances, because Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder, fuck yes. But
Oh shit, Gene Wilder wasn't there.
yep, Gene Wilder as Leo Bloom and Zero Mostel as Max Bialystock.
Nice. Well,
But
I'll go ahead.
okay.
Sorry. No, I was gonna change the topic, but go ahead, sir.
Oh, I was going to say, to go back to what the topic originally was before I went off on this wild tangent of the producers. There's a difference between saying get good to those empty skin suits that are reporters,
Yeah.
because they aren't being honest in their evaluation of the game. They're doing it for political bullshit reasons.
Yeah.
Whereas if
Well, political and monetary.
yeah, political and monetary, which their politics is effectively trying to get paid as much as they can for doing absolutely zero work. And they don't realize that their politics will end up killing their entire credibility, making it so that they will ultimately be paid zero because they are a net drain on the economy. But when it comes to those people, responding get good to those fuckers absolutely makes sense. If it's just your friend that comes to you and says, yeah, I wasn't really able to get into that game because it was too difficult, then yeah, you should be going, well, how about this? I'll sit in with you playing the game and I'll give you pointers. I'll try to help you and get you to the point where you can continue on with the game and you can have fun, because that is part of the game. Part of the game, like I said, is learning how to play the game. And you start out just getting your ass kicked up and down, left, right, and center. And you realize your growth when you start kicking ass, when you start beating things that have beaten you 150 times before, but you fucking trounce that son of a bitch this time, so fuck them. Suck my dick, motherfucker. And that's where the fun comes in. Learning how to do that.
Yeah, how to get better at the game. I mean, honestly, in terms of what I was talking about, in the original post, it was like fighting games, and with fighting games, it's a little bit of a different beast. But the other end of playing games like with Elden Rings, that's one of those you have to want to play that type of game.
Yep.
You know, and that's I think that's the core part of it. That's like port with you if you don't have like Assassin's Creed, like if you don't have any interest in playing a type of game like Assassin's Creed, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Why even spend the time playing it?
Like
know?
I said when I brought up the Maccadon example, they will never be an instance. I understand why people like Maccadon. I understand that there's that innate competition between the player and the PC if they're playing single player, or between players and each other when they're playing competitively. I just don't like the mechanics. And it's one thing if you just don't like the mechanics and don't like how it's set up, because that just means that that game is not for you. It's for people that like that game.
Yes.
Whereas,
and you know what? I've seen a certain Dovey, and she enjoys the game, and God bless her. Let her play the game. And if that's that's the thing. Like, I don't understand where the idea of trying to say, hey, you shouldn't play that game because X, Y, it doesn't make sense to me. If there's a game out there that you enjoy playing, why not just play it? Who the fuck cares what the other people are saying?
Well, the problem though is that they're trying to conform a lot of the Japanese standards like Elden Ring, right? It's a
Mhm.
people don't realize FromSoft is a Japanese company.
Yeah.
They don't give no fucks about our what you call it image of what the game should be, and they don't give a fly a fuck. They'll make a good game. They'll release it, and people, journalists, not us, not you and I, and thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like fuck, it's fucking goddamn hard, but they're trying to make it where every game has an easy mode where they're just like the biggest complaint in the last couple of years is like, oh, the game is too damn hard. We can't finish the game, so we don't know the story. I'm like, well, fucking get good, scrub. I mean, literally, it's like they want to do that shit for like Mario and stuff like, oh, come the fuck on. It's a Mario game. You can't beat that game. You suck as a human being. I mean, a child can probably beat that game.
And the thing is that if it isn't for you, there's no shame in a game not being for you. But the problem is that these people, when pretty much every time I hear someone say, well, games should be for everyone, what I replace that phrase in my head with is every game should be for me. Because that's really what the person is trying to communicate, rather than that games should be for everyone. Because they don't want any of their games changed to appeal to people that their games don't appeal to. They don't want a lot of the games journalists, for instance, absolutely fucking loved Animal Crossing. They don't want Animal Crossing changed to appeal to first-person shooters fans. They want it to stay Animal Crossing. But they want every game to appeal to them and their sensibilities. That's not how this shit works. Like I said, there will never be a point where a Madden game will appeal to Madden game fans and to me. Because in order to make the game appeal to me, you would have to deviate from what makes it appeal to Madden fans by so much that you would lose the Madden fans. You would gain me, but you'd lose them. Doesn't make sense for them to do that.
Could you imagine Animal Crossing X Warhammer?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Cute little animals fighting each other,
Oh, jeez. I don't think these people understand what they're fucking talking about, to be honest.
Well, the problem is that, as is so commonly the problem, they don't think through what they actually say. They just feel what they say. And
hot takes. You know what? And you know what? I made that pledge for from Weibo. I said, you know what? From now on, I'm just gonna do hot takes.
Nice.
Here's my hot take. Y'all are nuts. You're fucking nuts.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are legitimately crazy because, well, look at their bios. They list their mental disorders right there.
That just makes it easy.
Yeah.
They glued the target above their forehead. So.
Also, I know that there are going to be people that are probably pissed off at me when I say this, but this is something that I legitimately feel, so fuck it, I'm saying it. I am sick and tired of the people that keep on pulling I have this mental disorder, this mental disorder, this mental disorder, but I'm just as good as everyone else and you need to treat me just like everyone else. I'm sorry, no, you just told me that you have a bunch of different mental disorders that not everyone has. Yeah. You have problems that other people don't have. That means that you have something that I need to take into consideration. You can either have one of those two situations. I can either treat you as if you are able to handle everything that everyone else is, or I can treat you as if I need to be careful about a specific thing. It's just like if someone says, I'm just as strong as you, this is one thing that pisses me off because it happens. I don't know how many fucking times in my life this has happened. I'm an absolute goddamn monster physically.
Yeah.
And when I say I'm an absolute goddamn monster, I do 600-pound rack pulls. I reached a point where I was doing 300 pounds, 50 reps a set bench press. Cryptic probably knows how fucking ridiculous that is because Cryptic works out a hell of a lot, and he just unmuted. Cryptic, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yes, it's people. People are fucking dumb. They don't have good self expectation, of themselves. It's like you think you're better than everybody else, or stronger, whatever it is, right? Stronger, smarter, whatever. It's like you don't realize that you have to be or try not to realistic about your expectation, like with video games, right? Like if you don't.
Well, with everything, you need to be
with
realistic about everything.
Yeah, right. But like even with a video game, we'll get back to video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the ability to, or the passion to play a certain type of video game, you're not gonna be very good at it, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you have to like when you review a game, you don't dismiss the whole game because or dismiss whatever it is you're doing, right? Because you that's not your thing, and people don't realize, like, okay, you know what? Hey guys, you go to your boss, like, or go to somebody that it's like, hey, I can't. This is not my thing. So, find somebody else.
And you can review a game and say this game is legitimately bad. There are legitimately bad games. There are hosts of legitimately bad games. One of the worst games that I can remember off the top of my head. Have any of you ever seen or played Drake of the 99 Dragons?
I've heard of it. I've seen a review of it, yes.
Drake of the 99 Dragons is objectively absolute dog shit. There is no viable defense for Drake of the 99 Dragons. So you can go after that and say, yeah, this game's terrible. Even if it is something that is 100% your style of game, you would have to be going, this game is dog shit. I love this style. This game is dog shit. And you have to be able to tell the difference between a game that is dog shit and a game that is just not your style. Like, I can freely say, the Animal Crossing, it is a good game. It is not my style of game.
Yeah.
I will not enjoy Animal Crossing. A lot of other people will. It is good for what it is. So if you like this style of game, yes, play Animal Crossing. If you don't like Animal Crossing games, don't play Animal Crossing. It's a good game. It's just not a game for people that don't like that style of games. Drake of the 99 Dragons is just objectively dog shit. It doesn't matter if you like that style of game. It is dog shit.
Speaking of dog shit game, Ride to Hell is just as bad.
Ride to Hell is another beautiful example of a game that is just fucking horrible. And I accidentally timed that person out rather than blocking them. Oh well, I'll have to deal with that bot in a moment. But it is just infuriating. And like I was saying, when one of the types of people that piss me off the most are the ones that will say, I am just as good as you in X, when they are objectively, not just subjectively, not I'm just as pretty as you. Well, for some people, you will be prettier than this person. For other people, you won't be prettier than this person. But when it is, I'm just as strong as you. Motherfucker, I just picked up a 600-pound fat fuck by myself, and you can't pick up the 50-pound sack of rice. You aren't just as strong as me. And you need to learn what your tolerances are. You need to learn what you can do. And you need to learn what your preferences are. This is an important part of life. And you need to be realistic in what your preferences are. You need to be realistic in what your abilities are in order to actually be able to get better. Because if you are looking at someone who is able to zero death run Elden Ring, and you go up to them and you can't get past the first boss of Elden Ring, then you can't say, I'm just as good at Elden Ring as you are. No, objectively, you are not. And in order to get good, you need to actually realize that you aren't where you can be. That was the problem with the reviewer that couldn't get past the fucking tutorial, because they didn't go, I might just really suck at this game, when they couldn't get past the tutorial. No, they went for this game is bad because it is impossible to get past the tutorial. No, the fuck it isn't. Everyone else got past the tutorial. You're just an absolute gormless fuck that couldn't figure out how to do the button combo as it was written on the fucking screen telling you exactly what to hit and when to hit it.
I mean, that kind of leads into a sliver of a issue in terms of, we're allowing a lot of people to inhibit positions that they aren't really
qualified for.
Yeah. They don't understand how to play games, video games, and then they get into, to review these said video games, and they're just not equipped to handle the situation. And that really isn't. We don't have a say on that. That's the sad thing. We don't have a we don't have a means of weeding out these goofballs from getting into these positions. But at the same end, same end, we don't have to listen to them.
Yep.
Like we don't have this nonsense of this person not even able to get over the fucking tutorial. We don't have to fucking look at this guy and say, hey, yeah, what is his opinion on this game? Fuck this guy.
Yeah, and we do have a say in it to a certain extent, because, and this is a say that everyone has been following through with, whether they realize it or not. If you're into video games, when's the last time that you've gone to Kotaku, to Rock Paper Shotgun, to any of these video game sites, versus when's the last time that you've been watching a streamer that you like and they're talking about how this game's fucking awesome? You see them play the game and you go, okay, I need to get this.
Yeah.
Well, that's why a lot of these websites are failing big time. Like,
Exactly.
Has no goddamn audience.
I never go to them to begin with, so.
Yeah, a lot of these websites and a lot of these. Look at G4 TV, right?
Oh God. Yeah.
How to fuck a brand in
2 seconds. Yeah.
Well, especially with this shit, bullfuckery. But I will say, if you want to find some nice video game information, check out the Minions of the Zoo.
Yeah, our game recommendation page.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
we'll I'll advertise us.
Well, I was going to bring up something about video games. Did you hear that they banned RimWorld in Australia?
Yeah. Australia is one of those countries where everything is getting banned. Like, I think they ban anything that references any kind of drugs at all.
Yeah, they banned RimWorld, Adam, because you could commit too many war crimes.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Which a lot of fucked up shit in RimWorld.
If you've ever played RimWorld, oh yeah, you can commit all kinds of war crimes. It is a legitimate economic system in RimWorld to just profit off of people that attack you and then harvesting their organs. You can make an entire game run where that is all you do. The
Wait,
only way that
harvest organs?
yes,
Yeah.
you can get attacked by a group of people. You can subdue that group of people, and then you can harvest their organs for profit. That is a legitimate strategy on how to get through the game in RimWorld.
Yep.
You can have prostitution rings in RimWorld. You can do fucking nerve gas in RimWorld, if I remember correctly.
Can I just make a statement? Mr. Adam, I don't approve of this. That's
You don't approve of organ harvesting your enemies?
I think that's
a step too far.
Beyond the pale for me. So
yeah, there's entire channels that are just devoted to fucked up things that you can do in RimWorld effectively.
Yeah.
One of the amusing ones that people found out fairly early on is if you time everything right, you can make a death maze in RimWorld where you just cook everyone alive in a concrete box that is attacking you. All it takes is the ability to make certain types of doors and the ability to light a campfire. Then you can cook an entire invading army to death. It is amazing.
Yeah. And I watch Spiff and Brit. He does a lot of cool stuff.
Spiffing Brit. For those who don't know who Spiffing Brit is, Spiffing Brit is a gaming channel that he plays every game that he plays in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And by the wrong way, I mean he did a prison architect game where he made a tea plantation.
Yeah.
He didn't run a prison. He ran a tea plantation in Prison Architect. That was how he made money. That is not how you play the game.
Yeah.
That is how he played the game.
He does a lot of exploits too. He finds exploits to...
Yeah, he finds exploits and just breaks games in the most glorious of fashions.
Yeah. A lot of clicker stuff, you know.
Yep. It is hilarious watching his channel because he will just absolutely destroy a game.
Yeah.
Does not matter what game it is. If it is a game on his channel, he has destroyed it because he's figured out some broken fucking strategy, some absolutely ridiculous combination that is all perfectly legal in game. But it is just him leaning on it in the right way that makes it completely fucked and broken. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's the get good comment. Like I said, if it is just get good to Joe Schmo from Idaho, no, you don't just say get good to a random person, because what you should be doing is here's how you get good. Here's how you work on this skill or that skill, or how you figure out how to play this. That's the proper way when you're dealing with actual people. When you're dealing with an empty skin suit, then absolutely just saying get good is the proper comment. The only comment that you should have for the motherfucker who reviewed Cuphead negatively because he couldn't figure out how to do the button combination that was on the fucking screen with the exact goddamn timing for the button combination on the fucking screen. And he said, yeah, it's impossible to get past here. Fuck you, get good, motherfucker. Yeah. That is the only response to someone that disingenuous.
Yep.
And I've said it before, the way that you really help someone get good is you figure out a way that you can put what you're trying to have them get better at just on the edge of being too difficult. You want it sitting just at that perfect point where they can sometimes win, they can do better each time that they do it. Because that gives them just enough of that oxytocin and adrenaline kick for them to get addicted to it and love it.
Yep.
And it puts it just at that perfect point where they can learn how to do it. Whereas if they're just getting blown out the entire goddamn time, there's no way that you'd be interested in it. If you aren't even able to start a combo in a fighting game before you get perfected by the opponent, you're never going to get interested in that fighting game. You're just going to go,
hold on. Whoa. Stop. First off, in terms of you won't get a combo.
Yep.
I hate to prostrate myself, but Kokonai, yeah. There's multiple times that he got me in a combo that I couldn't even. It was just the moment the battle started. It was over.
Yeah.
But the second the second thing is, getting better at the game. That should be part of the enjoyment of it.
absolutely.
You should want to get better at it. But yeah, I don't know. It's different for everybody, whether they how they interpret their. I don't know.
I think that it's fairly universal. For everyone, you need it just on that cusp where it is at the high end of what they can do, sometimes a little bit past, sometimes a little bit before what that high end. But it always needs to be around that high end. So an occasional time where you just get comboed to oblivion and the person perfects you, you can still get interested because you have a game like that, but then the next time you got them to half health. You did a fucking amazing job of it. You did this and you actually landed a hit. Fuck yeah, that's a hell of a lot more than you did before. Whereas if it's every single time, no exception, you landed a hit, you landed this nice combo that gave you that hope that you could get good at it, and it was just you getting blown out completely the entire time, that crushes your hope of ever getting good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the reason why we do math, how you start with addition and subtraction. Then after you get addition and subtraction, it goes to multiplication and division. And then after you do that, it goes, and it just keeps on building that way, is because if you sit down a third grader and you go, okay, here's calculus. That third grader is going to fucking hate math for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
We should do that anyway because you know what? All math systems suck.
Oh, it does. The problem is that we don't actually ride that cusp. What we often have is the level that we're having people perform at is well below what their actual threshold is.
Yes.
And just like doing well above someone's threshold ends up with them being completely defeated, doing well below ends up with them going, I'm bored. Fuck this.
Right, and it's also the whole the common core bullshit, right? It doesn't teach
making
you
math harder just for the sake of making math harder.
Right. It's like, how do you get, instead of saying add 2 plus 2, they're like, what do you get when you add a pig, a horse, and a chicken? And then you know what? In 5 hours, add another chicken. I'm like, why don't you just say add 1 plus 1 plus 1, right? This is very, I'm simplifying as much as I can possibly could, right? adding 4 items together. What do you get?
Mm-hmm.
4, right?
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, oh, what do you add when you add? This is like basic. This is like like what I see. One of the common core questions say. So Jim has 1 horse, 1 cow, 1 chicken, and then in 5 hours, Jim acquired another duck, whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like just say fucking. What do you get when you add these 4? You add these 4 like horse, chicken, and whatever together. How many animals do you have?
Yep.
And,
Yeah. You need to have it where you aren't adding just bullshit steps to it and bullshit complexity. The worst example is always the large number addition and large number multiplication division, because the old way of doing it is rather quick and easy to go through the process. So you do that, you get your answer, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Now you have when you're adding 14 plus 27, well, 14 is really closer to 10 than it is to 20, so you round that down to 10, and then 27 is closer to 30, so you round that up, but then you have to figure out this, and the way that you figure out this is rather than 14, or rather than 4 plus 7, 4 is kind of close to 3 because it's just 1 more, so you take a 3 rather than the 4, and you add it to the 7 to make it 10, and then you have a 1. No, just 14 plus 7. Okay, 7 plus 4 is 11. Stick a 1, carry the 1. Now you have the 1 plus 1 equals 2. Your answer's 21. You're done. It's over before you even get halfway through the explanation for the Common Core method. You've already figured out 21 is your answer for 14 plus 7. But they purposefully make it more difficult, and you just go, hey, motherfucker. Because it was stated in the reason for why they developed Common Core, that they were developing Common Core to reduce everyone to the same level of math proficiency, and then try to train people up from that same level of math proficiency. What you should be doing is you should be going, okay, who are the people that are the quickest studies when it comes to math? The quickest studies, they go into this class. This class will move quicker, will move further along in math. Who are the average speed people? The average speed people, they go in this math class. This math class will move at a standard speed. Who are the slowest people? They'll go in this class. Who are the extra slow people? They go in this class. Who are the extra fast people? They go in this class. And you break it up, you fragment it so that the people that are ridiculously fast when it comes to math, you're able to tailor the course so that it is always at that cusp that I was talking about earlier, where they're always actually having to work to learn. For all the people that are just in the high class, they're always having to work to learn. For all the people in the average, they're always having to work to learn. You make it so that every level is having to do some work in order to actually fucking learn.
Yeah.
That way, everyone is not only learning the material that they're supposed to learn, huzzah, but they're also learning how to learn. Because that's one of the things that fucks over a lot of people that are in the gifted and talented category at a young age. They never learn how to learn. So when they finally reach a point where they have to be able to study, they have to figure out how to study. They should have learned that when they were much younger, but they never had to because they were just able to sit in class, pay half attention, hell, fall asleep sometimes, and they're still getting 90s plus on their tests in high school. And then they get to some high-level course, and they have no clue how to study. They have no clue how to take notes because they've never had to before, and now they need to, but they don't know how, so they just fucking bomb out.
Yeah, even with the Common Core stuff, right?
Yep.
They don't make it hard, and then bring in more like sophisticated or like math. Like they don't teach algebra for sixth graders. Using they don't.
Which is bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, they just make addition, subtraction, multiplication harder. They don't like, oh, you know what? Since we're making common, the math, common core a little bit harder by the way they phrase things, really, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of teaching algebra to kids in their sixth grade, they don't even do that. They or fifth grade. I believe algebra should be taught in like starting in fifth grade, right?
Any age, I don't care what the age group for the child is. If that is the point where the math needs to be in order for them to be at that cusp,
yeah,
that should be when they learn algebra.
Yeah, and algebra is people don't realize it's the essential math that everybody uses regardless of the industry you go into, right?
Yep.
And we don't do that. We dumb our kids down, and that is my biggest problem with fucking education in terms of math. So I don't know.
It pisses me off because, like I said, you need to have that constant, just at the edge of your ability, where you need to learn how to learn. Because if you learn how to learn, oh, you're set for life. Once you figure out how to study from something, then it doesn't matter what you're having to study from. You know how to study. You just apply those skills. So you need to learn a new job skill? Well, apply your skills and study, and boom, you have a new job skill. You need to learn something that you've never dealt with before? Apply your studying skill, and you're good to go. If you're just relying on natural passion, you will never hear me denigrate natural passion, because natural passion is fucking important as all hell. But if you just rely on natural passion, you'll have certain topics that you are just a goddamn sponge in, and other topics that it just goes in one ear out the other because you have no passion that locks that information in. You need to learn how to learn in order to be able to continue on in life, in order to gain skills, in order to gain abilities. You need to learn how to learn. And we're just doing a really shit job at teaching people how to learn because we're too hell-bent on, we need to make everyone equal. The only way that you can ever make everyone equal is by lowering everyone down to the least common, or to the lowest common denominator. That is the only fucking way to do it. There is no other way. There is absolutely no other way, because you can't raise someone that is stuck at one level of understanding up 12 steps overnight. That cannot happen. But you can lower someone down who's 12 steps above another person to that second person's level really goddamn easy. All you do is you have to grind them up a bit. You have to push them down. And suddenly you can get everyone at the same level, and that just fucks over everything. And it burns people out because, like I said, if you bore someone, they will not learn. You need to make it interesting, and you need to have it just be at that cusp. That's the most important thing when it comes to learning.
Yeah,
and also having instructors that actually know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, but teachers don't give a fuck, man, because they're unionized and they literally indoctrinate children. They don't fucking care that they're destroying the future generation. They're like, oh, you know what? fuck it, let's just make the future generation exactly like us instead of give. It's very rare when the teacher will give the student nowadays and give a student a material and
Mhm.
then let them decide for themselves how to think. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
And oh, go ahead.
what and it's not even by. I'm not saying this as a conspiracy or anything, but that's literally how the KGB wanted our society to unfold. Is to
Yep.
destroy the
Active
young
measures.
generation. Yes, and it's been on record with ex KGB.
Yuri
Uh,
Bezmenov.
You knew exactly where I was going with
Yep.
that, and people don't realize that, right? It's the best way to destroy a country or is to destroy the future generation, and that's what they've done to us.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, you need really two major things when it comes to teachers. You need them to actually know the information that they're teaching.
Yeah.
That is vitally important when it comes to having someone that's able to teach something. And secondarily, or actually, I would say that this is more primarily, it's even more important than them actually knowing what they're teaching. They need to not be intimidated by their students. Because that is one of the most damaging things that I've ever seen from a teacher. The worst teachers that I've ever had were teachers that were intimidated by their students. I've talked about how I ended up having to repeat one math class, not because I didn't understand the math, not because I got the math wrong, but because that was the highest level of math at that school, and also because the instructor for that math class, if you did not show the work exactly how they wanted, would assume that you were cheating. And the thing that pissed me off the most about it was I got accused of cheating from this instructor because I didn't show the math exactly how they wanted me to show the math. And they accused me of cheating. So the highest grade that they would give me on a test was a C. I told them to give me any problem. I would look at it. I wouldn't write down anything. I wouldn't use a calculator. I would just sit there and I would figure it out and I would tell them the answer. So they wrote a problem across the front blackboards, and I used the plural, not a singular, because it wasn't just a simple problem. They went across 3 blackboards from one side to the other with this problem, and I looked at it for a period of time, and then I gave my answer. They told me that my answer was correct. The deal was, if I was able to solve this problem, they wouldn't accuse me of cheating again. The next test I got back, they accused me of cheating again. Because they had done this to my brother. They had done this to numerous other students. If you did not do the math in the way that they taught you, the specific way that they taught you, they would assume that you were cheating, especially if it was something that they didn't understand how you were able to do it. That is not a good teacher. That is, in fact, the exact opposite. That is someone who is actively harming the process of learning. What you need to do is you need to have teachers that aren't threatened, because then they're able to go, oh shit, I don't know this. I had a fantastic math teacher later on. My brother had his father, who was also a fantastic math teacher. And both of them had the habit of, if a student did a math problem in a way that they were not familiar with, they would tell the student, okay, I'm going to take this method home after you explain it, and I'm going to put it through a bunch of different calculations. I'll see if they all work, and I'll also try to figure out exactly how this shit functions, and I will let you know tomorrow whether or not this is a good way of doing the problem or whether it's just a fluke that it worked this time. And they would actually go and do that. My brother, I think I've mentioned this before, my brother is an absolute goddamn genius when it comes to math. Each of my family's children has some knack that is really the only way I can express it. My sister learns languages at a fucking ridiculous level and at a ridiculous speed. I think she has 6 languages under her belt currently because she knows English, Russian, Chinese, or Mandarin rather, Japanese, Korean, and one of the Middle Eastern languages. So these aren't even like easy languages that she's getting under her belt. Oh, I forgot. She also knows French. So she knows 7 languages. She picks these things up like it's a goddamn penny on a street.
Yeah, but look, Sam, you do realize a lot of the American education system nowadays, right? If they make it, they don't have special.
Yeah, they're getting rid of G&T.
Yeah, you don't have special classes for smart kids or smart people. They want to make everybody as dumb as the next person. Like that's why like a lot of kids I know that drop out of school, like you said, they don't drop out because they're stupid. They drop out because they're fucking goddamn bored, and the school system don't identify them as smart. They just Jimmy had to stop going to school. It's like, well, why? Instead of digging in why, they're like, oh, he's just a dipshit or dumb. Somebody's dumb. It's like, no, Jimmy is fucking fantastic with math. He he can do calculus in his head without writing. He can do like a derivative in his head without writing it down, but people don't talk to him about it, or the class is not. He can't. They don't skip kids anymore. They don't put them in special, accelerated classes anymore because, that would be unfair to the other shit. I'm like, fuck the other kids. I mean, so certain people. We need those people. We need those smart people that can fucking outthink everybody,
Yep, and that was why this one math teacher and his father were so amazing. Because, like I said, my brother, his knack was math. Don't know how the fuck this boy had the level of math that he did, but in high school, he had this one math teacher where my brother solved a problem. The math teacher didn't understand how what he did worked. My brother explained it. The math teacher took it home, and he consulted several of his old college buddies, because several of his college buddies became mathematicians. And turned out that my brother was using a doctorate level way of solving an equation.
Right.
When he was in high school, that he had never been taught, that he just realized, oh yeah, this works. This will always work. I'm going to do it this way. And the math instructor figured this out, came back to my brother the next day and went, okay, I don't know how you learned this, but you're doing this type of math. It's a fucking PhD level way of doing the equations. How the hell are you doing this? And my brother went, I don't know. It made sense and it works, so I did it. And the instructor just went, okay, yeah, if you want to use this way, it works. Continue using it. As long as you get the right answer, you aren't going to hear peep from me. Have fun. And that instructor's son was doing the same thing of, if you came up with a way of doing a problem that he wasn't familiar with, he would run it through a bunch of equations. He would consult with his father. He would consult with people that he knew that were in mathematics, figure out if it was a viable way of doing the problem. And the next day he would come in and go either, yep, this is good to go, you can use it for these problems, no worries. Or he would come in the next day and go, okay, so it worked for these 20 problems. that were in this manner, but it doesn't work for these problems. So don't use this method because it's just a fluke that it works for these 20, because it doesn't work for anything outside those 20.
See, that's why I like proof. I never took proof, right?
Yep.
One of the last classes you take in mathematics is proof for your degree.
Proofs were a son of a bitch.
Yes, if you are going for a math degree, proof you will drive you nuts. But
yeah, we know 1 + 1 = 2, but
why?
do you know all the proofs behind it? Fuck
Yeah.
you.
and it's like, some people, that's their thing. Now it's not mine. I fuck that shit for me. But like, you can't take that kind of classes nowadays, is because taking proof is like, well, everything is subjective nowadays. Like even math, I'm like, math is not subjective. Should not ever be subjective, right?
Yep.
But they, racism or whatever the hell SJW bullshit that they come out right nowadays. Like, that's why kids are stupid now.
Yeah.
More than before. They don't have the ability to think for themselves, or do math the way math is supposed to be. Math is not supposed to be political, but it is now. And it's just like, I'm like, I feel bad for all the kids that are growing up nowadays, and it's like, math is not what it is to be. You don't just take a class and say, okay, 2 + 2 is 4, or what's that? Solve this equation, or y = mx + b. They don't teach you that, but they teach you that. But then they teach you, well, if this person is this skin color, you can pass them.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous,
Yeah, it's something that pisses me off that we've gone the way that we have when it comes to shit. And Kokonoe, if you want to find out how the fuck do you make math political, there is an extremely dark and slightly fascinating, but massively infuriating person that you should look into. And I'm trying to remember the fucking name of this woman. It was the one that she's apparently a PhD in math. She doesn't know how to do math. Her husband knows how to do math. Her husband's also a PhD. She was given her PhD advisor because she was a black woman doing math. She's published her PhD paper, her thesis paper, online. It consists of about 50% cartoons and emojis, about 20% math that was all done by her husband, and she's being treated as some math authority because she has a PhD in math, which came down to her PhD advisor wanting to just unass this woman, and the college saying, or rather the university saying, no, you aren't just able to unass this woman and fail her. Do you know how bad it would look failing a black woman? So the university forced her through and gave her a PhD. She now no longer does anything to do with math. She's just a political fucking floating head.
She's the definition of a token.
Yes.
Yes.
She is the definition of a diversity hire token.
The other funny thing, well, I don't know how funny this would be, but what's right at computer science and all that stuff now is getting to that same point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, you guys know what a master-slave configuration is, right?
Yep.
Very simple, very common. Like,
they've also gotten rid of those terms when it comes to home design.
Yeah, that's another story.
You aren't
But,
allowed to have a master bedroom anymore.
right. And then, master slave, you have a master drive and you have a secondary drive, which is the slave drive, right?
Yep.
You boot, whatever. You have, even in Linux, it's infecting Linux, even right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's bad. There's communities now where they ban you for saying, hey, how can I make this my master drive, and they frown upon you for saying that, or they outright ban you nowadays for that. And it's stupid. It's like it's been around since the computer started, master drive, slave drive, whatever, right?
Yep.
And they're trying to change the terminology, and it's fucking dipshit retarded, and it's infecting, and it's slow down our progress in, well, let's say with math, it's slowing down it's making our students fucking stupider, and then in computer technology, it's making fucking our programmers stupider. So don't fear at this rate. Don't fear fucking Skynet, because we're not gonna get there, because how stupid we'll turn our programmers into.
Yeah, we're more likely to enter a second goddamn Dark Ages, a la. Okay. How many of you have ever read the Foundation series by Asimov?
I haven't.
Adam, have you read it? If not, it is a series that you would fucking love. Adam? You still there? I'll have to advise him to read the Foundation series later.
Yeah.
Cryptic, have you ever read the Foundation series?
I have not. I wish I would. I need to.
So, the premise behind the Foundation series is that there's this galactic empire that has just spanned the stars. Ridiculous technology, just amazing future tech. And there's a person who is an absolute genius. He's developed this entire new field of study that is effectively, with math, able to figure out the most likely outcomes of civilization. And he uses that in order to figure out what's going to happen, and he realizes that this empire is going to fall. So he puts into plan a idea of how to make the interim period between the fall of this civilization and the rise of the next civilization as short as it can be and as painless as it can be. So over the course of the series, it keeps on jumping ahead in time. So the first book starts with this guy and his idea for the Foundation, which is what the plan that he's put in place is. And then it jumps ahead like 200 years, and it's the first cataclysm around the Foundation. And then it jumps ahead like an additional 400 years after the first cataclysm, and it hits the second cataclysm. And then it jumps ahead. So it is thousands of years from start to finish in this series. And each time it's this new cataclysm. Then after he wrote all the other books in the series, he wrote effectively a prequel to the series. And it explains why he was able to determine and how he was able to determine that this empire was going to fall. And the way that Asimov explained it is that you go through effectively a 3-part cycle of empires. You have the founder period. And the founder period, everything is growing. The technology is just absolutely exploding. Amazing things are happening. And everything is just ridiculous. This is when all of the real progress is made during the foundational period. I'm going to mute Adam. during this foundational period, all the progress is made. Then you have the second period rolls in right after the founders, and that is effectively the period of the administrators, where they keep everything going. They are able to keep the glory of the founders going. They don't really expand anywhere near as much, but they keep everything moving forward, and it's still good. It is still amazing. Technology is still moving forward, just not at the pace of the founders, and not as broadly as the founders. So you'll have advancements in this section, but kind of stagnation in a bunch of other sections. And then you have the period of squander, which is when everything starts to contract. The rate of development just collapses. The maintenance on everything that was done when the founders made it, that was done in that founder time frame, is damn near just abandoned. So it starts breaking down. And the man who developed this field realized that the Empire was in the beginning of the squander. It is fantastic, and it's something that has been touched on by other authors as well. There's another book called Fitzpatrick's War, which is really goddamn interesting. It's dystopian as all fuck. I recommend it. The idea behind that is that there's this group of people from the Yukon that end up developing a technology that kills all electronics and even kills internal combustion engines when it's switched on. And they use this technology to conquer all of Canada and to conquer the United States and Mexico. And there's a group of people that their entire devotion is studying technology. They are the scientists of the Yukons, and they're called the Timer Men. They're the only people that are able to use advanced technology. And they crank out new techs, new forms of steam engines and shit like that. And the Timer Men, as the story goes on, you find out what their true responsibility is. Because the Timer Men, or because the entire civilization keeps on going, if you're putting it in the Asimov terms of the founders, the maintainers, and then the squander. It goes founders, maintainers, founders, maintainers, founders, maintainers for this civilization.
Right.
It never truly enters the squander. And more often than not, this civilization goes founders, 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 founders. And you find out why this is happening in the civilization, how it's happening in the civilization. It is a fantastic book. Really goddamn interesting. So I recommend Fitzpatrick's War as well.
Nice.
But I do realize that we're going on over 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I suddenly glanced down at the clock. Do you guys have anything else that you want to launch into, or shall we go around the horn and say goodbye?
No.
I think if we launch into something else, it's gonna be another like 1.5 hours before we're done. So let's
Probably.
Yeah.
So since Adam is currently zonked out, I won't embarrass him like I did Eeyore, because Adam zonking out is far less frequent than Eeyore.
Yeah.
But Cryptic, do you want to give your parting? Actually, you joined last, so I'll go useless. Do you want to get for your parting words first?
You don't want to say have fun, because what's the point of living if you ain't having fun?
Then I'll go to Cryptic.
Don't believe everything you hear or read. Figure it out. Figure it out yourself. Do your research. Don't believe in people.
Yeah.
Especially those who tells you. If anybody ever tells you that they know the truth, they're probably lying to your ass. So
I think
do
I'll
your research.
change my parting words and kind of expand on what you just left off with, Cryptic. with my advice of whenever you're trying to figure out if something is trustworthy, explore as deeply anything, or at the very least, explore as deeply anything that agrees with what you think is right as you do anything that disagrees with what you think is right.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic way of avoiding false information, because you're most likely to buy into something that agrees with what your gut tells you.
Yep.
And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Have fun.
Adios, muchachos.